The Book of Ruth is often read as a simple story about loyalty or love, but there's a deeper pattern running through it. It's easy to overlook, partly because it's so short. It sits quietly in the Old Testament, and most people move past it without realizing how much is actually there. But Ruth isn't just a narrative. It carries a kind of theological weight that points beyond itself. Not allegory in the sense of replacing the story, but something closer to typology, where real events are arranged in a way that reflects a greater reality. And in that sense, Ruth begins to read like a picture of God's redemptive plan. You see that first in Ruth herself. She's a Moabite. She has no covenant status, no claim to Israel's promises, no natural place among God's people. And yet, she comes in not by right, but by faith, when she says, "Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." She's not just expressing loyalty, she's stepping into the covenant from the outside. Then there's Boaz. He's introduced as a kinsman redeemer. That's not just a narrative detail, it's legal. Under Israelite law, he has the right to redeem, to restore land, preserve lineage, and bring someone back into security. But here's the key. He's not obligated to do it. There's actually someone closer in line who has the first right, and he refuses. So the right to redeem exists, but the willingness doesn't, until Boaz steps in. And when he does, it costs him. He takes on the responsibility, the inheritance, the name. He binds himself to someone who had no claim on him. And this is where the pattern becomes clearer. Ruth is an outsider, brought near not by entitlement, but by grace. Boaz is a redeemer who acts freely, not under compulsion, but by choice. And the redemption itself is legal, costly, and personal. That's why many have seen in this story more than just a historical account. It begins to function almost like an allegory, not in a strict sense, but in the way it reflects something greater. Because when you look at it through that lens, it starts to point forward to Christ, to a Redeemer who was not obligated to save, but chose to, who steps in not for those who have a claim, but for those who don't, who takes on the cost in order to bring outsiders into covenant. So Ruth isn't just about provision or survival or even just love. It's a quiet, easily overlooked book, but it carries a structure that mirrors the gospel itself. Not earned, not owed, but given, because someone was willing to redeem. Almost like a hidden love letter from God.